The bright lights of the Good Morning America studio beamed down on Carrie Underwood as she adjusted the mic clipped to her shimmering blouse. It was supposed to be just another interview, another opportunity to promote her new album, Heartstrings and Highways. But Carrie had been in the industry long enough to know that the media wasn't always interested in her music. They wanted controversy. They wanted a viral moment. And sitting across from her was exactly the kind of host who would try to create one. Lisa Radcliffe was a well-known liberal commentator, famous for pushing celebrities into uncomfortable political discussions. She had a history of trapping conservative-leaning guests into awkward soundbites that would trend on social media for days. Her previous interviews with country artists had been especially brutal, twisting their words to paint them as outdated, out of touch, or even bigoted. Carrie had been warned. Her manager had even suggested she skip this interview altogether. But Carrie Underwood wasn't one to back down from a challenge. She smoothed her blonde waves, smiled warmly at the audience, and prepared for whatever was coming. "Welcome back to Good Morning America." Lisa beamed at the cameras before turning to Carrie with an overly sweet smile. "We have the one and only Carrie Underwood with us today. She's here to talk about her new album, but of course, we'll also get into some of the big issues of the day." Carrie chuckled softly. "Well, Lisa, I was hoping we'd talk about my music first, but I have a feeling you've got something else planned." Lisa's eyes gleamed. "Oh, just a little friendly conversation. Now, your album Heartstrings and Highways has some real old-school country vibes. Some people have even said it feels like a return to traditional values, maybe even a bit of a pushback against modern pop country. Would you say this album is making a statement?" Carrie leaned back, choosing her words carefully. "I think country music has always been about storytelling. I wanted to bring back some of the honesty and raw emotion that made country great. If people hear that and feel connected to something deeper, that's a good thing." Lisa smirked. Honesty and raw emotion, those are interesting words. Some might say that traditional country music has often been associated with conservative ideals, and you've been known to avoid political discussions. But in today's world, don't you think artists have a responsibility to take a stand on the important issues? There it was. The trap. Carrie smiled, unfazed. "I think artists have a responsibility to be true to themselves. For me, that means making music that uplifts people. I don't think my job is to divide my audience by telling them what to think." Lisa's smile faltered for just a second, but she recovered quickly. "That's interesting because some people have pointed out that you've liked social media posts that seem to criticize progressive movements. Some even say you follow a lot of conservative accounts. Do you want to clear the air on that?" The audience murmured. Carrie chuckled. "Lisa, I follow a lot of people. Musicians, athletes, actors, even journalists like yourself. I think it's important to hear different perspectives. Are we really at a place where liking a tweet means you have to explain yourself on national television?" The crowd laughed, and Lisa's face tightened. Carrie wasn't taking the bait, but Lisa wasn't giving up either. She leaned forward, flipping through her cue cards. "I guess what I'm really asking, Carrie, is, where do you stand on today's political issues? Women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, gun control. Do you believe country music should evolve with the times?" Carrie's smile didn't waver, but her eyes sharpened. She knew exactly what was happening, and she was ready. The air in the Good Morning America studio grew thick with tension. Lisa Radcliffe sat up straighter in her chair, her carefully curated smile stretching across her face as she awaited Carrie Underwood's response. The audience, sensing that something big was about to happen, leaned in. Carrie, ever the professional, took a slow breath, her expression unreadable. She wasn't new to this game. "Lisa," she said smoothly, "country music has always been about telling real stories. Stories about love, heartbreak, faith, family. Things that connect people no matter where they stand politically. That's what I focus on." Lisa's eyes flickered with mild annoyance. Carrie wasn't playing along. "But don't you think there comes a time when silence is a statement in itself?" Lisa pressed. "You're one of the biggest stars in country music. Your fans listen to you. Don't they deserve to know where you stand on things like equality and inclusivity?" Carrie chuckled softly, shaking her head. Lisa, I think my fans listen to my music. That's what I'm here to talk about. But since you asked, I'll tell you this. I believe in treating people with kindness and respect. Always, no matter who they are or where they come from. I was raised with values that tell me to love my neighbor, and that's how I live my life. Lisa pounced. But don't you think that's a bit of a safe answer? We're in a time where real action matters. Words are nice, but if someone isn't actively standing up for progress, aren't they just allowing old-fashioned ideals to hold us back? Carrie's polite smile didn't falter, but a knowing gleam flashed in her eyes. Lisa, she said with a hint of amusement, you seem to be suggesting that if I don't publicly shout my beliefs from the rooftops, then I must be against whatever cause you personally support. That's not how life works. Not everything has to be turned into a political statement. Some of us are just out here trying to make great music. The audience clapped. A few people in the crowd even whistled. Lisa shifted in her seat, clearly realizing she had underestimated Carrie. But she wasn't done yet. She flipped through her cards, her smile tightening. That's fair, Carrie. But let's talk about something more specific. Last year, you were accused of liking a tweet that was critical of vaccine mandates. Some people took that as a sign that you're against science and public health. Do you regret that? A hush fell over the studio. The crowd knew Lisa had just gone for the jugular. Carrie, however, barely flinched. I regret that we live in a time where a like on Twitter is treated like an endorsement of an entire ideology, she said evenly. I believe in personal choice. People should be able to make decisions for themselves without being bullied into one side or the other. That's called freedom, Lisa. And last I checked, that's still important in this country. The crowd exploded. Applause rang through the studio. Some members of the audience even jumped to their feet. Lisa's expression twitched ever so slightly. She hadn't expected that response. Carrie leaned forward slightly, her tone still calm but laced with confidence. You know, Lisa, she continued, it's funny how certain celebrities can express whatever political opinion they want, and the media celebrates them. But the moment someone in country music even hints at an independent thought, they're accused of being backwards or problematic. Why is that? Lisa swallowed. She had walked into a corner, and she knew it. Carrie let the moment breathe before adding, I'm not here to push politics. I'm here to sing. If people want to read into every little thing I do, that's their choice. But I'd rather let my music speak for itself. Lisa scrambled to regain control. I just think public figures have a responsibility to... Carrie cut her off with a warm but firm smile. To what, Lisa? To agree with whatever's trending. Another boom of applause erupted from the audience. Lisa forced a tight-lipped grin. Well, Carrie, I guess you've made it clear where you stand. Carrie's blue eyes sparkled. I always do. Lisa, realizing she had lost this battle, glanced at the cameras. We'll be right back after this break. As the show cut to commercial, Carrie sat back satisfied. She had just flipped the script, and America was watching. As soon as the commercial break hit, Lisa Radcliffe yanked out her earpiece and leaned toward a producer off camera. Her face flushed with frustration. That didn't go how we planned, she muttered, shaking her head. Carrie Underwood, however, remained unbothered. She casually sipped from her water bottle, giving a friendly nod to one of the stagehands. She had done hundreds of interviews before. She knew exactly how this game worked. Lisa wasn't mad that Carrie had spoken her mind. She was mad that the audience loved it. The show returned from commercial, and Lisa forced a grin as she wrapped up the segment. Well, Carrie, it's always interesting having you on. Thanks for being here today. Carrie smiled warmly. Thanks for having me, Lisa. Hope you'll check out Heartstrings and Highways. The second the cameras cut, Lisa turned away sharply, her frustration barely hidden. Carrie, unfazed, stood up and adjusted her outfit. She gave a few hugs to the crew members and then exited the studio, walking toward the black SUV waiting to take her back to the hotel. But as soon as she checked her phone, she saw it happening. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The headlines were already rolling in. Carrie Underwood's problematic interview, Why country music needs to change. Carrie Underwood refuses to take a stand on progress. Backlash incoming. Fans divided over Carrie Underwood's comments on freedom. Carrie chuckled as she scrolled through the articles. Divided? Not from what she saw. The audience had cheered her on. The thousands of comments under the videos being shared all over social media were overwhelmingly in support of her. Then, of course, came the celebrities. A few outspoken Hollywood names jumped into the mix, calling Carrie dangerous and out of touch. One pop star, who hadn't had a hit in years, tweeted, "Artists have a responsibility to push for progress, not sit on the fence." Disappointed in Carrie Underwood today. Carrie smirked. There it is. The outrage factory in full motion. Her phone buzzed with a call from her manager. Emily. "You okay?" Emily asked immediately. Carrie laughed. "Oh, I'm just terrified, Em. The Hollywood elite might not like me anymore." Emily sighed. "I know you're joking, but this is gonna be a mess. They're already talking about boycotting your album." Carrie rolled her eyes. "Oh no. Whatever will I do without the 1% of my audience that reads BuzzFeed for their music recommendations?" Emily chuckled. "Honestly, Carrie, I think this might help you more than hurt you. Fans are already rallying around you. I'm seeing hashtags like #StandWithCarrie and #CountryStrong trending." Carrie leaned back in her seat, thinking for a moment. Good. Let them talk. The more they scream about it, the more people will see through the nonsense. But Emily wasn't done. "One more thing, you just got a call from the Tucker Carlson show. He wants you on tonight." Carrie raised an eyebrow. Well, this just got interesting." Carrie Underwood sat in her hotel suite, cross-legged on the couch, scrolling through the endless stream of social media reactions. The divide was clear. On one side, everyday Americans, her fans, were cheering her on, praising her for standing her ground against a media trap. On the other, the usual Hollywood elite and liberal commentators were clutching their pearls, demanding an apology she had no intention of giving. Her husband, Mike Fisher, walked into the room, handing her a cup of coffee. "So, what's the damage?" he asked, smirking. Carrie took a sip and grinned. "Apparently, I'm now the most dangerous woman in country music." Mike laughed. "Oh no, what did you do? Say something logical again." She chuckled and leaned back against the cushions. "Pretty much." Just then, her phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "Emily, Tucker's team is ready whenever you are. If you want to do this, now's the time." Carrie glanced at Mike. "Tucker Carlson wants me on tonight." Mike raised an eyebrow. "You sure you want to step into that arena? This is already a firestorm." Carrie exhaled. "I know, but I'm tired of artists being bullied into silence. If they think I'm just going to back down, they don't know me very well." Mike grinned. "That's my girl." The intro music faded out as Tucker Carlson appeared on screen. His usual bemused expression locked in place. "Welcome back. Now, I don't usually cover country music controversies, but this one is fascinating." Earlier today, Carrie Underwood, one of the biggest names in music, went on Good Morning America and dared to say that people should be allowed to think for themselves. And, of course, the liberal media is melting down over it. The screen cut to clips of Lisa Radcliffe pressing Carrie about politics, followed by headlines from various media outlets condemning her for refusing to take a stand. Tucker turned back to the camera. "So, what does Carrie Underwood have to say about all this?" "Well, let's ask her." "Carrie, thanks for being here." Carrie, joining via video call, smiled. "Thanks for having me, Tucker." Tucker leaned forward. "Okay, so let's get right to it. You went on a morning show to talk about your new album, and suddenly you're being accused of everything from being anti-progress to being problematic. What's your reaction to all of this?" Carrie chuckled. "Honestly, Tucker, I think it's hilarious. This whole thing started because I refused to be bullied into giving the correct answer on live TV. I was asked where I stand on politics, and my response was simple. I make music for everyone. Apparently, that's now controversial." Tucker nodded. "It seems like there's a double standard, right? If a celebrity leans left, they're brave. If they lean right or even stay neutral, they're suddenly the enemy." Carrie sighed. Exactly. Look, I don't tell people how to think. I believe in kindness, respect, and letting people make their own choices. But in today's world, if you're not constantly screaming about whatever's trending on Twitter, you're part of the problem. Tucker grinned. And yet, your fans seem to be rallying around you. Hashtag Stand with Carrie is trending nationwide. Did you expect this kind of support? Carrie smiled warmly. My fans know me. They know my heart. I'm not here to be a puppet for the industry. I'm here to make music that speaks to real people. And if that's a problem for the media, well, too bad. Tucker chuckled. Too bad indeed. Carrie Underwood, ladies and gentlemen. Still standing strong. Thanks for joining us, Carrie. Thanks, Tucker. As the interview wrapped up, Carrie's phone started lighting up again. But this time, it wasn't just headlines. It was ticket sales. Heartstrings and Highways had just jumped to #1 on iTunes. The next morning, Carrie Underwood woke up to a flood of messages. Her name was trending across every major platform, and the reaction to her Tucker Carlson interview was even bigger than she'd expected. Her manager, Emily, was already on the phone when she walked into the hotel living room, sipping her coffee. Carrie, Emily said, breathless with excitement. We just got the numbers. Heartstrings and Highways is officially the #1 album on iTunes and Amazon. And ticket sales for your tour? They just doubled overnight. Carrie smirked and sat down on the couch, crossing her legs. Let me guess. This is what happens when you don't apologize to the outrage mob? Emily laughed. Pretty much. Your fans are fired up, and conservative media is rallying around you. Even people who don't listen to country music are buying your album just to support you. Carrie took a slow sip of her coffee. And what about the other side? How bad is the meltdown? Emily scoffed. Oh, it's glorious. Every left-leaning entertainment outlet is running hit pieces, calling you dangerous and divisive. Some actress from a Netflix show no one watches is demanding that your label drop you. But get this, your label just called to congratulate you on your biggest sales week in years. Carrie laughed out loud. So, let me get this straight. They wanted to cancel me, and instead, they just gave me the biggest boost of my career. Yep, Emily confirmed. They practically did your marketing for you. Mike Fisher walked in, shaking his head as he scrolled through his phone. Babe, some columnist just called you the voice of silent America. Carrie raised an eyebrow. I didn't even say anything that extreme. Mike chuckled. That's the best part. All you did was stand your ground and they lost their minds. And now, half the country is cheering for you. Carrie set down her coffee and stretched, feeling completely at peace. She had walked into a media trap, flipped the script, and come out stronger than ever. Just then, Emily's phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen and grinned. Guess who just called? Emily said. The CMA Awards. They want you to perform at next month's show. And, get this, they're begging you to do it. Carrie smiled. Well, well, well. Looks like standing your ground does pay off. She picked up her phone, opened Twitter, and typed out a single tweet. Faith, family, freedom, country music. That's all. Within minutes, it had over 1 million likes. Carrie Underwood wasn't cancelled. She was unstoppable.